Hi, hi, hi. Welcome to the link. It's been a while. I missed everyone. Hi.
Hi, Brittany.
Hi. So if you
Welcome
don't
back.
thanks. Oh my gosh, thanks. So if you don't know, this is the link. It is a collaboration between APLA Health and Pyro Media, funded by the CDC. Do we get graphics? Graphics? No graphics today. Oh, there it is. So my name is Kai Smith. I'm program coordinator for our Healthy Him program here at APLA Health in the prevention department. Oh, hi. I was gone last week because I'm in school and I had a test. So I did that, but I'm back now. Hi. Who's next?
I am Ty, your friendly outreach coordinator, your favorite Philly John from the 215. And I was not out last week because of a test. I was here and I appreciate the conversation that we had. So I'm looking forward to us continuing.
As you know, it's your favorite prevention training specialist, yeah, boy, over at Swab and Chill, Daniel J. And I'm interested in what today's topic is going to be about.
And I'm Rogelio. I'm your program coordinator of Trans Connections. LA bred, but Philly made. So, you know, Ty and I have that little
yes, I like that.
More cities. I'm not going to say where Tucson's great for. But anyway, so
where's that?
So welcome to the episode of the link. Today's topic is a fun one. We get to bring some guests in that are in-house. Today is prepping for sex. Look, we're gonna have a conversation about PrEP, right? You know, we always talk about it, but you know, sometimes it's nice to have some experts. So we have two amazing experts here at APLA. So we have program manager for our BioMedical department, Sarah Childers. Sorry, Sarah, if I said that wrong. And then we have Leya Solomon, our PrEP navigator. Round of applause. Come on, intro. Hi, Sarah. Hi, Leya.
Hello. Thank you for having. Can I just say that intro was amazing? The whole music and everything. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah. It feels like we're on a real Fox talk show.
You are on a real talk show.
Right.
The contracts are being pulled up. We're trying to get networks, publication. It's all in the works.
On our schedule.
Syndicated.
Can we be like any network but Fox though? Can we do that?
I mean, look.
Right, that part.
We'll contact CBS or something. Maybe logo.
Yeah.
What do you want? Spike TV?
WeTV.
Right.
Zeus Network.
TNT.
Disney Plus.
That's money.
Amazon Prime.
Okay. So Sarah, Leya, if you both will introduce yourselves. Leya, we kind of know you already, but why don't we start with you, Leya? Go ahead and introduce yourself. Who are you? Let the people know.
I'm a person. Hi, I'm Leya. I've been on here before. I'm the PrEP navigator here at APLA Health. And I work under Sarah, our biomedical prevention manager, and I've been here for about a year and I think 4 months now. Born and raised in LA, and I'm here for all of your PrEP and PEP needs.
Yay!
Hi, I'm Sarah Childers. I'm the biomedical prevention program manager. And I feel like I should have something really fun to say about where I'm from, but I'm just from Los Angeles, born and raised. Yeah, so there you go.
That's fun enough for me.
Yeah.
Right? So thank you both once again for being on here. So today we invited you on because, PrEP, and especially with HIV prevention, it's the wave, it's the move, if you will. It's the next kind of tool that we have to kind of prevent HIV and kind of stop the epidemic of HIV, pandemic, if you will. So we want to kind of open this floor up to you to educate us and educate everyone at home. So Sarah, I know you have a lot to say about that. So would you like to start sharing for us?
Yeah, absolutely. So PrEP is definitely a huge thing to combat HIV. And it also makes up one of the 4 pillars of ending the HIV epidemic. So a quick little summary of ending the HIV epidemic. It was created in 2019 by the previous presidential administration, and it's basically, there's goals. So basically, they want to do, as America, we want to do 75% reduction of new HIV infections by 2025, and then 90% reduction by 2030. So it's a really big goal, and to get there, it's a multi-agency wide initiative, and to get there, there's 4 pillars, which are to diagnose, to treat, prevent, and to respond. So to diagnose, it would be to get tested regularly. And why that's so important is that I believe the most recent statistic was, I think, like 1 in 7 people who currently have HIV don't know it, and it's because they aren't getting tested regularly. So to make testing more available, and I know APLA is doing a great job at that, and then to treat people with HIV, that's really, really helpful, because once you get into treatment, you can get on your antiretroviral medication, and you can get to undetectable, which means untransmittable, which is basically your viral load is so low that you can't give the HIV to anyone else, which is fantastic. And then prevention, which is us, which is PrEP. And then respond, which would just be to have, surveillance into different outbreaks. But with prevention, which is PrEP, me and Leah's bread and butter, it's just really exciting because at our clinics, we have 3 locations currently. We can offer PrEP for little to no cost, depending on someone's insurance situation. We also work with people who don't have insurance. And there's currently Truvada and Descovy, and there's also a generic form of Truvada out. So there's different there's all sorts of different varieties that you can choose from. You just have to talk to a medical provider, and you have to come in and meet with us so we can get you squared away. Oh, and silly Sarah, I forgot to mention. So PrEP is for HIV negative individuals, and a lot of times we get clients who they may not know if PrEP is right for them. So basically, if you have multiple sexual partners, or if you're in a relationship with someone who's HIV positive, or if you just want to be better protected for future sexual encounters, then PrEP, it would be perfect for you. It's 1 pill you take once a day, every day. And and it's very effective. It's up to 99% effective if you take it once a day, every day. And I would be remiss if I didn't also talk about PEP, which is post-exposure prophylaxis. And PEP is it's very similar to PrEP with one main difference, and that is if you think you've been exposed to HIV and you're not currently on PrEP, you have within 72 hours to get on PEP, which is a variety of different pills you take for 28 days. And that is also effective in preventing against HIV, but just the big main thing is that you have to get in before 72 hours, so we can assist you with that. And we also do offer PEP here as well at all 3 clinics for little to no cost. I know that was a lot.
You better go ahead, Sarah.
Yeah.
You better do that, Sarah.
All the information.
Sarah.
I know what I do, and this is it. You better be ready. So Sarah, thank you so much for that. I do want to ask a question specifically, and Leah, you might be able to answer this one too, with APLA Health and PrEP. What's that process like, right? A lot of people think it's this long, drawn-out process that's going to take longer. It's not worth it. Leah, if possible, what does it look like from that first phone call to PrEP?
Right. So I know we have that phone number on the line going across. So you can reach one of the PrEP navigators. There's 3 of us, me, Carlos, and Alexis, through that number. And at any point, we can all direct you to each other. And if you decide to call us through our direct lines and you decide to call me, I will have that initial conversation with you where we kind of just go through our PrEP 101 documents and really just like the PrEP basics, just so someone who might not know enough or maybe who has been on PrEP knows what they're walking into here at APLA Health. And then we would kind of establish to see if they're interested in establishing care with us, because some patients are just really looking for information. And at that time, if they don't want to start, we're not going to pressure anyone to start something that they're not interested in, but we will allow them to kind of come back to us if that is what they feel like they want to do in their next steps. If they do decide to continue on with us and we find that they have no insurance, we'll let them know about PrEP app. And we'll also let them know about Gilead Advancing Access so that we can enroll them into both if interested. One will cover, PrEP will cover their medical visits and lab costs, and Gilead Advancing Access will cover their medication costs. Similarly, if they have insurance, PrEP can be a form of secondary insurance, and then we will activate a copay card from them, also by Gilead, so that they would be able to get their medication for little to no cost as well. And if they're insured but we're not in network, we can find other means of assisting them.
So
the PrEP team knows exactly the ins and outs. If you are watching this right now, you've ever contemplated PrEP, contemplated PEP, whatever the case may be, the breakdown you just got should literally be on a video in our clinic. Like literally, that was amazing from beginning to end. Thank you, guys. Yes.
Love it. We want to make sure that, you know, our biomedical team is up to par, and they are one of the best in the state.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
So I do have a quick question. I know that we're all smiles and giggles and things, but if Leah, you've been on the show, Sarah, I don't know if you've seen some of the episodes that we've had, but we do ask some of the hard questions. And some of the hard questions that I have as it pertains to PEP is the communities that we serve. You know, for prevention, we serve a lot of people of color, Black, Latino, you know, 18 to 29, people who don't really trust, you know, medicine, like you say biomedical, they're looking at you like that's a bioweapon. So how, being the manager of the biomedical part of it, what are some of the tactics that you use to really kind of explain PrEP to the community? Or is it something that people are just like, you know what, I see it, I'm hearing about it, and, you know, they're rushing to get it in?
Right. So you're absolutely right. It is a challenge. And I know when I was just a party of one, because, you know, biomedical just used to be little old me. I'm a white woman, right? So it was.
You're white, Sarah?
Oh my God.
No.
Shocker.
Yeah.
Exclusive right here on the link, people.
I know. But yeah, so it's a challenge, because I think one of the best ways we can bring in more people is to have people that look like them, right? And so it's been really helpful just by word of mouth, because we started out really, really small, and luckily we were able to make really strong connections with several young Black men, and also too with Healthy Hem. They were great, and they were able to go out into their networks and really promote PrEP. And so that's how we got a lot of our young Black and Latinx individuals. However, we're still struggling with that. I mean, I think what you see at APLA, our numbers wise, is very similar to what you see nationwide, and that is a lot of white men, men who have sex with men, are getting on PrEP, which is great, you know, but at the same time, it's like we need to see where this epidemic is really affecting people, and that is men of color. So we're trying to get the word out, and we're implementing, I'm going to be working with Ty to implement a peer health educator program. And also too, Ty is going to be bringing on some great outreach people as well. So we're really planning on targeting those communities to get the word out. And to address medical mistrust, listen, I get it. There are some medical providers who are just not that great at talking to people. Our providers at APLA are fantastic, and they actually look like they're from the communities in which they serve, which is fantastic. So if you're watching this and you are nervous about coming in, me and Leah, we're both incredibly non-judgmental. We have heard it all, but like nothing surprises us anymore. And the same goes with our providers.
They've heard it all from me alone, and I'm not even a client.
A lot of that comes from us, but yeah, clients too.
Do you find that it's harder to get people on PrEP initially, or do you find that it's harder to keep people on PrEP? Like, what has been the experience for the both of you?
Oh, go ahead.
Do you want me to take this? Okay, so I feel like, so when we look at PrEP studies, people do go in to get their initial fill, but it is harder to keep them continuing on the medication. We find that, especially during COVID, it hasn't been at the forefront of a lot of people's brains, given everything else going on. And so when you're worried about social, economic, other factors, it's really easy to kind of maybe put your sexual health at the back burner of those things, which we understand. And so we really try to help patients advocate for themselves by making sure that we're there to just check in and make sure that they're really like able to know that there are people that are willing to assist them. And with your medical mistrust question, I think we serve to be like great links in between like us and like clinical care, so that they know that they have advocates ready to support them. And so we're not like what an image of a scary doctor looks like, or someone who's willing to maybe not judge you. Not that our providers do that, but if they kind of feel that fear, we're kind of there to kind of combat that before they feel like that is going to be brought on in our clinic.
Well, I definitely hear Leah because she sits right behind me in the office. So when she's on the phone with a client, I'm like, go ahead, girl. You get through it. You massage them right on into the process.
I had a couple questions, one more on the physiological side and one more on the social side. So you know that there's still like a lot of stigma in some communities in regards to PrEP. So I wanted to hear what the most common like response you get or pushback you get from clients, and how do you try to address that? And on the more like physiological side, I'm also curious as to like the most common side effect that people report, because this is still a medication and some people do experience side effects. And I'm curious to know what is most common.
Sure. Yeah. So I think, and Leah, you can definitely chime in as well, since you're doing more like the face-to-face, but I know that a huge stigma is it's the whole, what is it? The
Truvada
horror. Yeah. So someone actually coined that term like right after, like I think around like 2013. I could be wrong about that. And he, the guy who coined it has come out and said that he regretted doing that. But it's not for people who are promiscuous. It's just for people who want to protect themselves. So I think that's a huge stigma, because a lot of people, they may not see themselves as being like super promiscuous. But yeah, so I think that's a huge stigma. Also too, that it's only for gay men. Because there are some women who could really benefit from it, but they're just like, oh, all the literature, or all like when I see an ad on PrEP, it's all about men. So it's like, well, no, it's literally for anyone who wants to stay HIV negative. And then also with I know trans women specifically, they're hesitant about getting on PrEP because they're worried about how PrEP will affect their HRT. And there was a study that was recently published. It's the IFACT study, in case anyone's curious. And it says that according to the study, PrEP did not affect the effectiveness of the HRT. So that is good to know. But of course, there's still people who are very hesitant to get on it. Mm-hmm. Leah, did I miss something?
I think you asked about side effects for Elio.
Mm-hmm.
Most of our patients say they don't have any side effects. With a few of our PEP patients, I know that sometimes they say that they experience like slight stomach issues and maybe like fatigue in the first few days. It tends to wear off throughout that week, and that's what usually our providers tell them to. And with our PrEP patients, similar. Usually after that second week, though, they are mostly back to normal. But again, with most of my patients, I usually do not hear anything about side effects. So
right, perfect.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I know, speaking to my own PrEP experience, when I started PrEP, I'm not gonna lie, I did have some stomach issues. But now thinking back, how bad I have normal stomach issues, it probably wasn't that bad anyway. Everyone knows this. It doesn't.
Right.
So
that's what I was going to say. You already have
gathering,
stomach issues.
What I'm also gathering from the 2 points that the ladies made was that, one, PrEP is for anyone who wants to protect themselves during sex, almost similar to condoms. And it will not make you gay. I got that question a lot. Is PrEP the pill that makes me gay? I was like, if there's a pill that can do that, wow. It does not make you gay. And side effects include a little fatigue and maybe a couple stomach issues, but you get that from a night at the Abbey anyway. So this is something that you can kind of push through. I did have a question for you both. So since you both work in this field, and you both have seen PrEP kind of like change over the past couple years as it pertains to the ads, and we see certain things on commercials and stuff like that where they try to encompass as many people as they can. But of course, all communities aren't represented. Sometimes I'm sitting in meetings and I hear conversations where people want PrEP to kind of be specifically tailored to them. But technically, PrEP is a drug that can kind of be tailored to your schedule anyway. Can you tell us a little bit about the stuff that's coming down the pipeline for PrEP?
So when I look at the commercials, I get really happy. Like, it's really exciting. It's like, oh my God, there's me, but not really. But in a certain way, I think that it represents all of us in the work we do. What I do really love about the commercials is that they're very diverse. Like, I'm like, oh, so it looks a little different than the clientele that I get to see all the time or talk to on the phone. But I think that sometimes having that representation really matters, because if you see yourself in something, I think you're more willing to, try it out. And so I think in order to change the demographic of who's starting PrEP and who's continuing with it, these commercials are necessary. So, and Descovy is now being tested on cisgendered women, but it's not FDA approved yet. So we're
getting there.
Yeah, we will start you with Truvada. Yeah.
I know that we talk a lot about, like, cisgender men, we talk about cis women, and we also talk about trans women as it pertains to PrEP. Is there any information for trans men? A lot of the conversations that I hear within the community is that there's not a lot of research, there's not a lot of data, there's not a lot of anything as it pertains to trans men and PrEP. Do you guys have any insight on that? Is that something that the field is working on gaining? And if so, how are they going about that?
Right. So unfortunately, trans men are often overlooked during the whole HIV prevention conversation, and it's unfortunate. I do know, because we meet regularly with the Gilead representatives, and Gilead is the manufacturer of Truvada and Descovy, and they do know of the gap there, and I think they want to print more materials that are more so focused among trans men. But the literature and all, like, the different studies have been mainly around men who have sex with men and trans women, unfortunately. Leah, would you agree?
Yeah, cisgendered women and trans men kind of get a little bit of the short end of the stick.
Right.
Yeah.
And I did actually wanted to add a little about, I know that a study I recently saw showed that trans men who have sex with men are still at an increased risk for HIV. So it just goes to show that there is a need there, but, you know, there's still catching up to do in terms of the marketing and just, like, studies to further, make that a possibility. So thank you for bringing that up, Daniel, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it makes me wonder, because this is probably another topic for another show, another episode, but it often makes me wonder if they're so ignored because of the assumption that being trans men, that their orientation is straight. And so having sex with a cisgender woman or whatever is not that big a deal. And it's like, I know trans men who are not straight. So it's like
a pretty large percentage, actually, in some surveys. Yeah.
So it always kind of baffles me that they're not at the forefront of some of these studies and some of this data mining.
So that'll definitely be up to us and these wonderful human beings that we invited to the show to continue to do that fight. We're about to let Sarah go and go to our first commercial. And we're so sad about it because Sarah just gave so much information. But before is there anything else you wanted to share? Anything important that you feel the people need to know?
I mean, I just want to share is that we're a really great team. I don't want to toot our own horn, but I think we're fantastic. And so if you're watching this and even if you just want to talk to someone about PrEP, even if you may not think it's right for you, just give us a call and we'll be more than happy to talk to you. Like I said, we're non-judgmental. We've heard it all before. And we do have a website. It just launched. It's prepexpress.org. Yeah, it's on the screen. And you can actually schedule a telephone visit with a PrEP navigator. That way you don't even have to come in to meet with us, and we can give you the rundown of PrEP, what programs you may qualify for, and all that fun stuff. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Sarah, so much.
Thank you.
Good job. Good job.
It's one of my favorite people in the office to get a good story from, so we'll definitely bring you back, Sarah.
Thank you.
But we are going to take a short commercial break, and we'll be right back.
guys, Ty here from APLA Health, and I got some good news for you.
APLA Health is launching our first ever at-home HIV testing initiative.
As we battle the global pandemic of COVID-19 and all that it entails, APLA Health is doing what we can to fill the gaps for those who are in need of knowing their status, linking to care, and having safer sex options.
The initiative, officially known as Swab and Chill, will be our virtual hub for those seeking to take an HIV test, receive HIV kits, link it to medical care for those who are HIV positive, while also having access to several other programs and services that specialize in harm reduction for HIV infection.
Such services include PrEP and PEP information, as well as substance abuse services. Our goal with Swab and Chill is to make HIV testing easily accessible and easy to use within the comfort of your own home.
We provide each client with the Aura Quick at-home testing kit. This kit is a simple test that is done by orally swabbing the gums and waiting 20 minutes for your results.
APLA staff is available to virtually assist you while taking the test, while providing resources and support for those who may test positive.
Maybe you already know your status and you're just low on condoms and lube due to accessibility. No problem. We can also send you one of our safer sex kits right to your front door.
As we strive to keep our community safer and well-informed, your privacy is also a high priority.
All packaging will appear from APLA Health. Our over-the-phone assessments are quick, easy, and secure, so you can feel safe in sharing your results with us and asking any questions that you may have.
If you or someone that you know is interested in having one of our at-home testing kits mailed to you, or you just want more information on what Swab and Chill can provide, please call one of our team members at 323-329-9713, or just email us.
Come swab and chill with 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 us.
Swab and chill with us. Hi, everybody.
We should absolutely get shirts that say "Come swab and chill with us."
Oh,
Okay,
no.
We should so do that. Come swab and chill with us. That would be perfect.
Oh no, with the like emoji of the face I was making, the like emoji.
The one that goes like this.
Right. One of my favorites.
And then in 2 weeks when we're on the show and you're going to be mad that you have to wear that shirt for the show, I don't want to hear it.
Right.
Well, I won't. I can choose to, but I would.
But they make great giveaways for some good, sexual health,
Ooh,
tidbit
right.
information, trivia.
Limited edition.
Can I get one, please?
you have to
You
win
can
it.
have 3 of them.
Can I permanently
We'll
be
toss
here?
we'll toss your name in the hat.
Oh, thanks,
God.
Rogelio.
Girl, black cis women are always last. You gotta wait, honey.
Maybe in your world, but not in mine.
That's right.
Oh.
You gotta bring light to the
Look,
change of the
I-
narrative.
Right.
Okay.
As you can see, we have Leah still here because it's time for What's Poppin', and we love to have Leah's takes.
Thank you, Kai.
Honey,
Just so-
because Leah can get ratchet and I love it.
Look.
I love
So-
it.
That's
I
never
guess-
happened, Daniel.
Like,
Well, I guess I will start. My What's Popping, before I start, I do want to say this could be a trigger warning for people. I am going to be talking about gun violence. So if anyone feels a way, definitely step away for a moment, go to the bathroom, get a drink of water. What I want to talk about for What's Popping is something that is just another thing in the American government culture that we, for some reason, can't seem to let go of. And that's guns, right? Since the pandemic and we've been shut down, we've been seeing less mass shootings. Since things have been opening up in the past week, we've seen 2. And in both instances, access to guns was made easy. So the shooting that we saw in Atlanta, the racist shooting in Atlanta, he was able to buy a gun that day of the shooting. It's harder to vote in Atlanta. And we've seen the memes. It is harder to register and vote in Atlanta or in Georgia than it is to get a gun. In Colorado, the shooting that we saw yesterday, this man walked in with an assault rifle that is military grade. And in Colorado, literally weeks ago, the NRA won a lawsuit making it easier to get those kind of guns. And it's like, why are we still having this argument of gun control, right? And so since then, we've been seeing, you know, obviously politicians kind of reacting. It's a Democratic House, so people are thinking, oh, we might be able to get gun laws passed, but we need 10 Republicans to do so. But for some reason, Republicans got that NRA money and they just refuse to do it. What do you all think? What do we do at this point, right? And especially because in a lot of these shootings, the people who are targeted are people of color. It affects our community, and we're not the ones doing the shooting, right? Mass shootings are largely white men. So,
I think you brought up a good point explaining it too with that comment. You know, these are our communities that are being attacked by white men or white people just in general, with the idea that they want to make a statement or whatever the case may be. I think that it's extremely barbaric that there are so many lives lost due to gun violence, and how easy it is to get a gun just because our Constitution says the right to bear arms or the First Amendment or whatever it is. History is not my thing.
It's the right to bear arms for the militia, but they don't read
the 20th Amendment, whatever the case may be. So it comes off like that being such a priority in this country, and we can't even focus our government's attention on issues that are like affecting communities of color is like ass backwards to me. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. It's easier for me to, not saying that I would, to grab a gun and go wreak havoc than it is to vote to get someone out of office or vote, you know, a specific way. It just doesn't, it makes me kind of sit here like, well, why do people consider us the best country in the world? There's no way you can do that with all of the backwards rules. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. Right. It's unnerving. The school shootings really got me 3 years ago when that commercial had came out. I think Sarah actually showed it to me and I cried. It's just to know that our children have to go to school and kind of prepare for that. Like, fire drills were the big thing for me. Like, when I was coming up, it was like, you know, be ready for a fire drill. But to know that my child is going to have to go to school and be prepared for a mass shooting is sad.
Right. And especially this past insurrection, you would think they literally were threatened by these guns that they say we should have, but they were in their faces and they're still like, no, right.
There's a different category of people carrying those guns, which is why it wasn't an issue. But go ahead, Rogelio.
No, and I think you spoke to, like, you know, when you asked the question, Kai, you kind of almost answered it. It's like, you know, it's these white men who keep on committing these atrocities with these very specific political ideologies driving them. And so I think the problem isn't, you know, necessarily the guns. It's the fact that, like, we also have to address white supremacy in the country. You know, gun laws can only do so much when there are people who can still illegally purchase weapons and commit whatever atrocities they want. And so until we address white supremacy, white supremacist terrorism, and the fact that it's so easy for people, especially young white men, to get radicalized on the internet, I think that's like such a huge problem that's like not spoken about. And you know, that's the motivation behind a lot of this. A lot of these men are like from the incel community, those, you know, young men who aren't able to have sex. And so they take out their rage on women or on just like progressive issues in general, because they feel like that's what's causing, you know, society to change and why they're not getting attention. And so it's really just about education and reaching a lot of these youth. Teaching them that there are other influences that they can look to so that they don't fall down these like internet rabbit holes, because it's really disturbing what it's doing to like a whole generation of people. Like, everybody's saying Gen Z is so much better, but Gen Z also has unparalleled access to the internet and can breed people like this who, you know, commit these horrible acts.
Right.
And then also, sorry, go ahead, Leah.
I agree with everything you guys said. It feels like structural violence is like not the exception. It almost feels like it's the rule and the foundation of this nation. And I think to what Rogelio was saying, that a lot of like the isms that we experience on a daily basis, because they go unaddressed, we have groups of people that feel like we have this like left liberal like side that are kind of like pushing this like alienation, when in reality this has always kind of been the nature of America. And I feel like who feels alienated might be shifting at times, but that alienation can drive people into doing a lot of things that are very violent.
That's a great take on it, Leah. I actually,
Yeah, that was great.
that we're a country made of people who were alienated.
Right.
Yeah.
Long comment. So tensions are high in open carry states where firearms are present in grocery stores, Starbucks, restaurants, etc. How does one differentiate between someone who will shoot them versus someone who just casually carries the firearms? I just don't think there's a need to carry firearms. Like when I'm walking down the street, I don't know. I guess I'm naive or good-natured enough to think that I don't need to protect myself when I'm going to the grocery store or when I'm going to Starbucks or something like that. And that might be a personal privilege because I understand.
I mean, open carry, if you look at the history, like it's literally meant to intimidate. And it's historically been used to intimidate people of color. Like, you know, all those white people who lined up with guns or with weapons when Black people were first attending integrated schools. Like this has a very deep history in our country. And so, like, you know, when people defend open carry so much, they're basically defending their right to like walk around and intimidate people.
It's also a really tough question or comment to address because it's different for different people. I mean, I'm from the hood, so every time I see a gun, I assume that you're there to do something with that gun. But I want to hear from Daniel too, because Daniel didn't answer the first question.
First of all, I'm beyond tired of being shocked by things that are just bred into the country that we know it today. We know that systematic oppression is real. We know that that's what this great, wonderful nation that we think on this side of the border. They thought that was funny. On this side of the border, you know, that we're just so great. We're just so wonderful. These things have been literally in the paperwork and in the construction of what we know this country to be. So it's not shocking to me. What angers me and what pushes me a little bit to kind of bring my calm back is the fact that not only are we looking at, people are talking about, let's change the gun laws, let's change gun control. How about we change the system in which white men can go easily get a firearm, but Black men can't? Latin men can't. Indigenous people can't. When you look at the numbers of people who are able to buy a firearm, who are able to get certified for open carry, those numbers in racial statistics are very one-sided. You know, this is not the wild, wild west. There's no need for a civilian to walk around with a gun on their hip. I don't find the reason for that, especially if you're not going, if there are all these laws that really prevent civilians from being a part of an act or being a part of a situation where a civilian pulling out their gun and shooting somebody, you know, is their first reaction. Like if I'm seeing a robbery as a civilian, do I take my gun out just because I got an open carry? Do I shoot the robber that's robbing the store? Or do I call the cops like I've been told to do and wait for them to do their job, which my tax dollars are paying for? At the end of the day, I cannot wait and sit around for white men to change laws that they created to protect themselves, period. You know, is it infuriating that my community, people of color, you know, women, trans folks are at the other end of these bullets? Absolutely. But I think that there's a work that we as a community have to do. To be honest, that I just don't feel our great grand old government is going to do, because it benefits them at the end of the day. It benefits them. The dollars benefit them. The systematic oppression benefits them. The fear mongering, it benefits them. And for any individual with a passport and stamps outside of Mexico, we are not considered the greatest country in the world. That is the lie that we tell ourselves in this country.
Yeah,
I have lived in 2 other countries, and I have friends all over the world. And let me tell you, America is not that great to everybody else. Just like how Black folks have to code switch for white folks, these countries code switch with America all day long.
Yeah.
Is destroy the patriarchy and anarchy. But no kidding. But yeah, I think Daniel, you make a lot of really, really great points in the sense of this false narrative that we put in this country about it. And that's the patriotism that's so gross and scary in this country. But I do want to switch to fun things too, right? Because I mean, I'm all down for continuing to destroy the patriarchy.
No. I mean, we could go from gun laws to, I guess, What are we
Lil
going to talk about now?
Mama?
Flowers?
No.
Right, I have something unfun to talk about. I really feel like I had to address the Lil Mama situation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I feel like it's so much
Okay.
bigger than her,
Oh.
right?
Yeah.
So like for everybody who didn't hear, a transphobic comment that Lil Mama said was dug up from like 2009. Her response to it was very immature, very like, you know.
I'm sorry. Are you talking about lip gloss?
Yes,
Yeah.
her. The one performing at backyard birthday
Do
parties,
tell.
yes.
Do tell. What did she say?
Well, some old transphobic comments were found, and then she started making comments about children and the fact that it's not okay, or how does anybody think it's okay to allow like children to transition or do all this, right? And this is actually becoming a very common topic. I feel like a lot of people around when Zaya Wade first came out were making a lot of those comments, like, how could they allow a child to like have surgeries? And it's like, surgeries? Like, who's talking about surgeries? Like, they're just letting a child like express themselves, right? And also we have the new laws in Alabama, which are now, you know, aiming to make it illegal to seek transgender care for people under the age of 18. So I have to clarify the science really quickly. You are not giving people, you know, under the age of 18, usually hormones or, you know, some sort of like life-changing like surgeries or that kind of thing. Yes, Nigel. And so there's a huge misunderstanding about this, because what is commonly prescribed to children who are interested or who are like are sure that they're trans, and usually it's a very long, drawn-out process that takes years, that takes multiple therapy sessions. You know, the child has to be absolutely sure, the parents have to consent, everybody has to be on board. You know, multiple doctors are consulted, and then they are put on puberty blockers. So what puberty blockers do is they delay puberty. And, you know, it doesn't change anything. It doesn't cause any harm. If you get off of them, you will have puberty just as normal, just, you know, a few years later. And what this does is that it gives those children time to delay puberty, which can be very, very traumatic to young trans people, cause them to commit suicide and a number of other things. So it can delay puberty until the time that they are able to consent to be getting hormones and that kind of thing. So all these people who are making these arguments about trans issues are just plainly just not informed on any trans issues. A lot of trans people don't even know all the ins and outs of hormones and what all is provided. And so the arrogance and ignorance of so many people to think that they can have opinions, and that it's now leading to laws like the one in Alabama, where, you know, you are preventing trans people from seeking healthcare, which is like the #1 thing that helps prevent suicides and that kind of thing, is absolutely outrageous. So that's my little rant. I just had to get that out because it's such a topic that people are very uninformed about. And it's really disturbing that it's actually becoming, you know, coded into law, like in Alabama. And actually, Mallory has a video on our Trans Connections Instagram page talking about this a couple weeks ago. She's from Alabama, started her transition there. So everybody, please check it out. Just low
The law that you're talking about, is that the EMT law?
I'm not sure,
but a different law. Because there was another state that just passed a law that allows for EMT workers to refuse giving care to LGBTQIA folks.
Right. No, yeah.
Which
This was,
I'm just like...
No, there are a lot of laws cropping up. There are also laws cropping up about forbidding young trans girls from competing in women's sports, which, like, you know, suddenly people care about women's sports. Like before now, people just like never talk about women's sports, never take it seriously. But the minute trans people want to, you know, participate, it becomes a huge deal. So yeah, just a lot of misinformation goes around. A lot of trans people don't even understand these issues. So for people to assume that they know enough to have an opinion is disturbing, because it only ends up hurting trans people.
That's a valid point that you just said at the end of your statement. People don't know enough to have an opinion on any of these things. It's just, yeah, you're entitled to an opinion. I get that. But when it oppresses a people or a population, at the end of the day, your opinion is bull. So I didn't expect, you know, of all people that want to, you know, try it. Thank you, Tehran. I love my brother. I didn't expect, you know, of all people to try it, it would be Lil Mama, especially when her fan base is the LGBTQ community. She got
I didn't know she had a fan base.
But when she did, the 20 people that were listening to her were LGBTQ.
I feel like, so I saw a video on IG Live with Lil Mama. She was talking to this other young gentleman about this whole thing with the tweets that have been brought up. And it's interesting because, you know, the fake woke people, they always irritate me, and I can tell how sleep and napping they are. by the
Yes.
outdated language that they use as it pertains to transness and the LGBTQIA plus community. I feel like at the end of it, because I saw people who are a part of the alphabet acronym like rooting for her. She's speaking facts and this is true. And it really talks to how the LGB possibly Q part of the acronym are also mostly G, who have no type of recollection about the information or the education about transness. And I'm seeing a lot of gay Black men. That's just my experience. I'm not saying that they're the only ones, but from what I'm seeing on my timeline, it's a lot of gay Black men who are agreeing with Miss Lil Mama and saying, she's spitting facts and this is horrible and I'm like, what legal doctor is cutting off genitals for anybody under the age of 18? And then the idea that it's really specific to you shouldn't allow your children to cut off their genitals. So you're talking specifically about trans women.
And that's not what happens,
And that's not what happens. Like, there's no education behind it. And I think that it's funny, and I was saying this to Leah and Kai the other day, specifically for Black folks, we are so quick to tell white people that when they say, I'm not racist, I have a Black friend, how problematic that is. But then we'll turn right around and say, I'm not homophobic or I'm not transphobic because I have gay friends. And I'm just like, do you not see the ignorance and the hypocrisy?
I mean, even her follow-up was like, I don't care about your sexuality. It's like, well, sexuality and gender are very different. Like, so that shows just like the baseline of ignorance. Like,
and you're on social media projecting this opinion that you created in your mind the other morning, because I'm sure you didn't give any thought to this. You care about something to go ahead and comment on these things, regardless of whether it's gender or sexuality or not. And you're right, those are two completely different things. But you care about something. I hate when that happens too. When you present an opinion and then all of a sudden when you start to get backlash on it, it's like, oh, well, I don't care about X, Y, and Z. You're talking about a population of people who have to experience this. This is not something that you can just share your opinion on and be like, that's it.
Well, I give a shout out to Miss Jackie Harry, because Miss Jackie Harry went on Twitter and she talked about it and she said, and after that, honey, her lip gloss wasn't that popping anyway. And Miss Lil Mama got upset, called her a bitch and told her to kiss her rear end. But I just want to give a shout out to Jackie.
I love how Jackie just like adapted to the Twitter world so well. Like she just came and took over.
I could give my opinion and not give a damn. Oh, this is wonderful.
Her and Dionne Warwick. I'm just like, come on.
I also wanted to point out the law that I was speaking to was a law that legislation just passed in Arkansas, which allows for EMT workers to refuse LGBTQIA folks any care in the midst of an emergency, which, I mean, if we can't see that this is an attack on a community, like, and even with Lil Mama's, like, this whole, what does she call it? The hetero rights movement. Girl, do I have
There's a name for it?
She's trying
she wants to create a group.
To make, like, reverse racism a thing. Like,
because people on Twitter are mean to her. Gay people are over here, trans people over here getting killed, not having rights, all these other things, getting our rights legislated away. But, she's mad because people on Twitter came for her for saying some dumb stuff. Like,
right. And I think people responding back to you maybe in an inflammatory way is not the same thing as being discriminated against. And I think for some cis people or other marginalized people as well, we tend to think like I have it the worst, which stops us from actually empathizing and more than empathizing, creating action to help people that are actually more marginalized than us. And I think that's because a lot of us don't have a great understanding of race consciousness or class consciousness or transphobia. It's just my hurt feelings mean I'm right. And that's not how you operate. Like
if she spent a little less time focusing on that lip gloss and open a book, she'd be a little better.
Right, and that's a little misogynistic, but but you're right.
I'll accept that.
One of the things I think too is it could have been just so easy for her to say the comments I made in 2009 were wrong, and I apologize. I have learned, and left it alone.
Right.
It would have been a great moment to really heal whatever's inside of her, and then also kind of create this, I'm an ally, I'm here to help. But instead, she, as Leah said, her feelings took over, and this is what happened.
Yeah,
So,
and she kind of projected the nastiness inside outward.
yeah. I think we've had enough of Little Mama, but I love the conversation around it because I think it is a genuine conversation, especially when we talk about trans people. And I think it's an even better kind of reminder for next week. We have an amazing kind of week-long trans
I'm
day.
excited for this.
Right. I had a line prepared for this, but it's like, no, like, yeah, like visibility. That's kind of the double-edged sword of visibility. Like on one hand, trans people are more visible than ever. We're making so much progress, but at the same time, that means we're on the radar of a lot of people, and our rights are also being targeted by a lot of people. So, on that note, check out the Trans Day of Visibility special episode of The Link next Tuesday. And Wednesday, our cross-platform event that's going to be taking place half on Facebook and half on Instagram Live. We're going to have 3 trans performers and 2 amazing interviews with community leaders.
It's going to be great. Full party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember the last event that you all did that was on Instagram with the talent, it was like a talent show or a variety show just in general. The performers were so into it. I felt like they were like literally performing in conference room D and we were just watching. I'm excited to see this. This is going to be great.
Right. Yeah, we're really excited.
So Leah, do you have any pop culture things that you're just burning to talk about today? Everyone,
Okay, so I'm a multitasker. So while I do my work, I like to just keep up with everything on YouTube. And a big thing I think we've all seen maybe is cheating. So I just want to see, like, what do you guys feel about cheating and social media and the current takes that we've all been observing, whether that's Saweetie and Quavo or the Black Men Don't Cheat guru who just recently kind of basically confessed that he was cheating on his wife for 4 years while giving out advice and saying that Black men don't cheat. So what are your takes?
It's an interesting question. I mean, as it pertains. Oh, go ahead, Kai.
Oh no, I was going to start with the Quavo and Sweet thing.
Yeah, I'll go after you because I have a comment about that.
I think watching it all kind of play out, because normally I miss stuff like this. I miss kind of like the back and forth of people on social media. Watching it play out was so kind of repeating what Daniel said. I understand that this is kind of how America and men are just toxic in general. And like, I get it that men are trash. Like, I get it. But then watching him kind of try to drag her for nothing. And then her just saying like, hey, you were the one who cheated. You were the one who did all this, but okay. And then you're not the woman I thought you were.
Right.
But but how often does that happen? Like, we're talking now, we're also comparing, like, we're talking about a couple that has, some sort of status, some sort of money, all of these things. And like the public eye is on them as they break up, right? How often does that happen in regular life? Like, I know women, particularly Black women, who are in or who were in relationships with particularly Black men, where they won't do anything to cause to the damage of the relationship, or at least to my knowledge. And then it turns into, well, we broke up. Yeah, I cheated, but she was supposed to hold me down. What?
Right.
Like, what sense does that make? So I really appreciated seeing Sweetie's interview on Justin Combs' or live stream show or something like that, where he had said, I thought it was a disrespectful question too, where he was like, or one of them had asked Sweetie, if your man wanted a threesome, would you give it to him? And it's like, one, don't ask me anything about my relationship. Like, that's just not something, like, relationships and stuff like that are off key and off topic to me when it comes to public stuff. Right. But moving forward, as her being a woman, people would assume that she'd be like, oh yeah, I guess if he messed with somebody else, I'm gonna have a problem with it. Her response was, if he's doing everything right, I'll let him pick the man that we have a threesome with. I thought that was so badass because you cannot put her in that box and assume that she is supposed to just say, okay, I mean, if he was doing everything well, he could bring another girl into the situation.
Right.
No, no, absolutely not.
And why is another woman like the prize for a man doing well in a relationship? Are we objects? And then additionally, like, I think that even I mean, respectfully, Justin is supposed to be messy, but I think the way that they handled Chris Brown, who we know is messier than Saweetie, he got way more respect than she did. And then
and you can also put Future in that pot too. You
right,
can put Future in there.
Right. I'm not going to say that. So for my image, but but it's also interesting. I've been seeing conversations around monogamy and like what this all means, and I think that it's really not fair to kind of just be like, well, just give your man 2 partners. Like if one person can't be responsible for the emotions of one partner, what makes us believe that they can do it for 2 or more? Like I find that that's also going to be challenging. Like I don't think that you should just, give like more people to someone that's like clearly not that emotionally intelligent or just doesn't care.
Right. I was actually going to plug polyamory while we were talking about this, because I was like, a lot of this could be solved by like people being honest enough to like mention to their partners that they do not want to just have one sexual partner or one romantic partner.
Right.
And that's kind of the idea behind polyamory too, is that like it's not just you having an open relationship or you wanting to like sleep around. It's about having honest communication about expectations and boundaries with every single person that you decide to partner with. Exactly. So often you have to be really good at communication and really good at, setting up those boundaries with people. It's not just people who are like, not willing to do the work, because if you're not good at monogamy, you probably are not going to be good at polyamory.
Right. And
absolutely not.
And I don't think we should just like plug that as a solution. I think sometimes the internet does that, and it's really odd because we don't hear common stories of women cheating. Like we're never subverting the dynamic that's ever happening. It's not radical to just like date a bunch of other people when sex positivity still doesn't really benefit women. It benefits men. Right. So, I mean, I think as we should continue to talk about healthy relationship dynamics and communication and how patriarchy plays a part.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Do you just want my spot on the show?
Right. You're fired.
I think you're amazing for the show, Ty.
Well, Leah, thank you so much. We only have a minute left. I want to thank you so much for being on the show, giving amazing information, and also we love your little hot take. Well, not even your huge hot takes on a lot of things. Before we go, is there anything else that you want to share to the world before we sign off?
I'm always here, so really contact my Ring Central phone number. My direct line is 323-329-9702. If you ever need more info about PrEP and PEP, I'm willing to talk about anything regarding those topics. And it was amazing being here. Thank you, all of you. I love working with you all, but seeing you guys on this platform shining, it makes my heart really warm. So keep being amazing.
Thank you, Leah, and thank you so much again for being on the show. Thank you, everyone out there watching. You will see us, or you won't see all of us. You'll see a huge takeover from our Trans Connections program next week. So tune in.
Me. Right.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.